Welcome, dear listeners, to the Speak and Flow podcast, where we dive into unique strategies to help you and your team achieve maximum potential and flow, even when the stakes are high. I have an amazing, hugely successful, powerful women in tech leader. She has organized one of the world's largest virtual conferences for women in technology. She is the CEO, co-founder of WomenTech Network. She's an investor and also author of Amazon's new #1 new release book called Chief in Tech. Her name is Anna Radulovski. Did I get that right, Anna? Close?
Yeah, Radulovski.
Radulovski. Hi, Anna. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about our conversation.
Me too. I know this is going to be so helpful for all the women in technology or STEM. And you've written a book, you've done a lot in this industry, in this area. So I'm really excited to dive in. And before we get into that, I wanted to know, like, what are you passionate about? What are you doing these days that excites you?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, one of the things that excites me is taking quality time off with my family in summer, and also, sharing more about the things that we are doing at WomenTech Network, helping other women, and also taking time to look inwards. When I say that, I mean, look and reflect, taking time to reflect about my journey, but also taking time to improve different processes, optimize also the things we do to work better and work more effectively also at WomenTech Network, speak at events, conferences, podcasts about my recent book, as you mentioned, Chief in Tech. And yeah, don't forget to have fun.
Yes, we have to have fun along the way. You're out in Europe right now, about to go to Greece soon, so good for you. And so when you see the transformation, when you see that you're helping the women out there to progress and develop, how does that feel for you?
Always exciting and empowering at the same time. I love when the advice that I give people makes a difference in their career. And it's okay also if they don't apply. And I think I also think about that. It's more about those who will apply, it will make a difference. And that there's lots of advice. And I think it can be challenging at moments, which one is the right advice. So I think by testing and experimenting and actually taking an action, I think the worst thing that a person can do is just to keep things that they are and not doing anything, and then being really struggling actually to achieve their goals and being really like blocked and not taking any steps forward, whether they want to get a promotion, that a job, or build their personal brand, whatever it is that for them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've done your due diligence. You've done some research and interviewed lots of women in tech and found some of the struggles that they've gone through and also provided some solutions and tips, like you said. And so whether you, the guest or the listener, wants to implement it or not, the key is what you're saying is at least try something, do it, test it, right? And then get the feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Feedback is
Yeah.
crucial, I think. And having mentors, trusted people in your circle who can give you honest feedback. I think
Yeah.
friends very often can give you very kind feedback, and they can give you actually great support whenever you need it. But having, your board of advisors, people that, you can trust and ask for professional advice, and having mentors who've done, what you want to do, or who you look up to, that can be really, really powerful for you to get ahead. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we're women in here that really want to get ahead and we want to do it right. We want to do it well. And so, yeah, having that support, sponsor, mentor in different directions. And so, as we're climbing, as we're going up and we're evolving as women in technology, what do you think are the struggles nowadays that you see in leadership?
That's a really great question. So, some of the struggles, some of the challenges that women face, there are several challenges, but let's focus on several of them to discuss today only. One of the things is still, bias and microaggression at work. That still is an issue. Sometimes some challenges are also internal, imposter syndrome. that to a certain extent also comes from the fact that many workplaces weren't built with women in mind. So it's really easy to feel like you're an imposter, especially when you get into a new role or you go into a meeting and all the people who participate in a man and you're the only woman. And that's what I was hearing from women many times and again. And the last one is also struggling to communicate your value powerfully. And very often it just doesn't feel very comfortable. And many women think that if they work hard, they will be noticed. The truth is that hard work alone is not enough. You need to make sure that people who are important to your career growth know about the things that you're doing. And that very often can feel really uncomfortable, as if you are bragging. And women occasionally tend to minimize it, like, oh, I just did that, or it was a team effort, or it was nothing, not a big deal, or even forgetting to communicate that there was something successfully done, to articulate and share about that, because people assume that people in the leadership roles that are about them already know about that. That's not true. That's not true. And you need to be effectively communicating your value. And especially when people want to get promoted, visibility is important. And also building relationship inside the company, as well as growing your network outside the company, joining networks like WomenTech Network, going to networking events. And I know networking can be also challenging for women. At moments it can be awkward, can feel transactional. And I also share about that in the book on how to, one of the principles that I apply during networking is I have a mindset, instead of how can this person help me? How can I help this person? Not thinking, okay, what can I get from this person? Because that's a wrong mindset. I think that many people get that wrong, that as if, you need to be one, if one people wins, another one loses, but I don't see it. I think that could be, an exchange. You can help one person, that person or somebody else from, or even it will come back to you in millions of beautiful ways. So I'm a true believer in that. And then very often what it takes, instead of so focusing on yourself and try to think of being interesting, be really truly interested in what another person is doing. That's one of the rules also of successful networking.
Yeah, so place the focus on other people so it doesn't feel so overwhelming to try to say the right thing.
Yeah, I think that it's also like try not to also think about saying the right thing at all. Of course, you need to have a good pitch articulating your value. What is that you are doing? Who are you helping? What brings you here? And what brings you here could be not necessarily I'm looking, for a co-founder, I'm looking for a mentor. It could be I'm looking to build my network with fellow women in technology. I'm looking to learn more about the latest technology. So have a clear purpose and then build your networking around that. So when you have a clear purpose, it doesn't feel transactional anymore. You know why you're there. And I think it's also okay to have some awkward interactions. I think you should not assume that just because you know your purpose that you wouldn't be bumping into people and having awkward conversations. I think it's totally fine and they exist, and that's also part of the journey.
Oh my goodness. But then for women, we always want to get it right the first time, and it almost feels so uncomfortable when we're awkward.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when I think about my first steps into networking, I remember, most of the people at a networking event were guys. It was completely awkward. And that was one of the reasons I also later on, when I was at the larger conference, I started thinking about it. I was like, where are all the women? And I got so passionate about that problem that I thought, okay, let me do the research. Let me, organize a few events and test my assumptions. Like, are women not interested in technology? And that turned out not to be true. It's just the tech field is really male dominant. And it's very difficult for women without not seeing so many role models like, like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk. and not having enough women in the spotlight in the senior leadership role. So they would say, hey, this is cool, I want to be just like her. And one of the things that I'm doing also as part of my mission at WomenTech Network is to make sure that women in technology know how cool they are and get in the spotlight. We have our WomenTech Global Awards. We constantly feature, extraordinarily women in technology in different locations. We, take every opportunity to remind women of how much they already achieved and how cool they are. One of the conversations that I had with one leader, and she's a senior accomplished leader with 25 years of experience. And I'm telling her, look, we have, a global Women Tech Global Awards coming up and you should apply. And she's like, yeah, well, I want just to accomplish one thing this year and the next year I will apply. I was like, but nothing will change, You already have done so much. Like, look at your impressive career, right? And she's like, well, okay, I'll think about it. So sometimes it takes someone in your circle to remind you how great you are, as if you forgot about that, or you feel that everything needs to be perfect. You need to check every single box, and only then you feel like you're worthy of that award. Because even if you win that award potentially, then you won't feel like, this is such a great achievement. You would feel like, oh my God, I probably didn't deserve that award. Like someone else should have, won it.
Right.
So I think that imposter syndrome can be really strong, and the perfectionism, just like you shared, that I think is one of the biggest challenges also on the way. What is perfect? Nothing is perfect. No product, is perfect. No one has ever built a perfect solution. All the humans are imperfect. It might seem on the surface, if people share just a piece of their life, they have it all together. But in reality, there are so many struggles. There are so many challenges going on. I think none of the successful people, men or women, haven't failed, haven't had challenging situation, haven't become resilient. Resilience is so key. That's what I saw also from the interviews, executive interviews that I had for my Chief in Tech book. I saw that resilience is key to success. Like, there were none of the leaders that, have become successful in technology, made it, or, climbed to the C-level, and they are not resilient. All of them are resilient. So
sorry, did you define, how did you see them being resilient? What are some of the behaviors or some of the things that they would say?
Some of the things that they would say, I think that the thing that they would do, I mean, if you ask about saying, they would ask for that opportunity. They would know what they want. They would invite themselves to the conversation that they would not be typically invited. They would proactively ask for being in that meeting, though they probably like ready. What is ready, right? So they might not be, someone would say they are not ready, but they would proactively ask for that. And when challenges occur, they would be able to bounce back because they have a growth mindset. They view challenges as opportunities for growth. They know that it's part of the journey. They know that it's not possible to, like, when we say the ladder, it's like this perfect ladder, right? It's never perfect. You might take a career break. You might fall down. You might need to take care of, of an aging parent. There could be so many challenges out there, and they're okay with that. I think what I really loved about them, despite facing a fair share of struggles, from bias to, being overlooked for a promotion and whatever not on earth, in the company that they were working in. What I noticed that all of them, that are the people that I interview and that I interviewed and beyond, all of them are so passionate about paying it forward and giving back because they don't want any other woman to struggle. And one of the leaders said, when I wanted to make sure, I wanted to become, to climb to the C-level, to become a CIO, because I wanted to change things. I knew that if I want system to change, I need to climb to the top, and for that level to drive change.
Mm.
That's what drove me. She said, I mean, she faced lots of challenges, and there were so many women, So instead of kind of that is dragging them down or
Yeah.
preventing them, they became more resilient and more and more and more. So they actually achieved that, and then make a difference.
I love that. I love that. She was so driven to make a change. She wasn't as concerned about the challenges that were getting in the way. She was just wanting to,
Exactly. And I think that making the life of other women
right.
a little bit easier. I
Yeah.
think all of the women, I will tell you something that I really loved about this executive interviews. That was one of my favorite parts of book writing journey, is having all this conversation, how generous they were with their time, and like how busy they are, and
Yes.
how generous they were with their time to actually make sure that um, the strategies, the tips that works for them can work for other women, and they don't have to make necessarily not just the same mistakes, but they can accelerate faster. I think that was also key, and to make sure to do something good for the community. Definitely, that's what drives me. That's what drives so many members also in our community.
I love that. And do you see, I mean, I can see your purpose, your community, raising the women in technology. That is so great and such a big, bold vision and purpose. Do you also see that there's still like more of the microaggression still happening? Is it less? Are people they're getting more accustomed to more women in technology? Or is it still a big
That's
challenge?
one of the questions that I also asked with some of the leaders during the interview. So I asked them, why do you think, like, I asked them, compared to a decade ago, do you
Yeah,
see things improve for women in technology?
right.
And the answer was yes, because there is more awareness. There are
Uh-huh.
more organizations like WomenTech Network. There is more awareness. There are women ARGs. There are more talks about that. So before, no one was like talking as much about that. So I think they said that there is more awareness. But whether does it change? I think it depends really on the company culture. It comes down to a company culture. My hope to everyone who starts a company, startups, what I see that very often, because everything is so fast and you start and you focus so much on the solution, my hope that startups and founders would focus also on the culture and not thinking of fixing the diversity problem later, right? Like they see, okay, we have just guys, right? We probably need a diverse perspective here, or just guys from certain kind of domain maybe, or experience, or country, state, whatever that could be, to make sure that you build a diverse team when you start, not once you grow and just like, oh, well, actually, and not to, because it's so much easier to build from in the beginning, to think about that rather than to fix it later once it's already established. I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that, and very often what I see that, of course, where the company culture is great, women stay there much longer. They're much more loyal, but they also feel so much more supported,
Mhm.
valued, and appreciated. And to an extent, it was so interesting. I was to one conference recently, and during the networking, one man, I said, "Hey, we have this company, and they're a partner." And he's like, "I know that company. They like their company culture is so great." And I said, "Hey, this is also my impression. Like everyone I'm talking to, from the C-level management is so engaged and supportive. Like you feel really this vibe. It's very difficult to describe it in words, but how every team member is treating each other, how like they communicate through the value, and like giving the credit to each other. I really, really love that. I
Wow.
really love that. I think that's when it, even I think if you decide to leave such a company, you would be like the biggest advocate ever, and you would really have such great memories. And that's, I think, what, if we have more supportive workplaces, healthier cultures, I think we will have also more female leaders staying much longer and making a bigger impact there.
Hmm. But it does come from it's helpful to start it from the beginning and have that intention and that purpose from the beginning versus try to fix it later. try to
Absolutely,
incorporate it as an
absolutely. Yeah.
afterthought.
I mean,
Yeah,
for some established companies, it's much more complex already.
yeah,
But I would
right.
say if you have that power, if you decide to disrupt the technology field and to build your startup, so make sure that your company is diverse when you start, not
Mm,
when you have grown already.
yeah. Do you find that women are support more and more women are supporting each other in technology, or do you still think that there's still some divide and women also we don't support other women? Sometimes I've heard that before, right? There's some biases around
I
women.
I remember once I asked that question, I think on LinkedIn, and one of the women shared that very often only women who don't support other women, they don't do it just because they're bad women. They do
Uh-huh.
it because they're scared, because it was so hard for them to get that role that they
Wow.
feel as if they support another woman, they will take that role. But in my community, I don't necessarily see that. I see women supporting women, and that is like surrounding me every single day. I see so much support, so much beauty, I would say, in a way, how women are supporting women, how that is being multiplied, through different channels. Also, I see how other communities, like, what I really love is that we have, our community members, and they, for example, support our global conference, and we support also some of the community members that have in conferences and events. And I believe that to make a bigger change, we need to unite, and we need to, because united, we are much stronger.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. And what would be one takeaway, golden takeaway that you want the audience to remember?
One takeaway.
Mhm.
Let me think about it. Um, well, if I would want you to walk away just with one thing, is that I would say that leadership is not about being the smartest person in the room, it's about making space for others to rise with you.
Oh,
And that's I've seen, again and again through building WomenTech Network and everything that I've done pretty much, and also being in different powerful and supportive communities. When it comes to us, WomenTech Network, we didn't grow global communities by having all the answers, right? So we grew by creating space, by lifting others, by inviting people in, and by saying also, hey, you belong here. And I'm a true believer that it takes also a village, like to grow your career, to grow a network. And I just times and again, I see how powerful a community can be. And what I also, I'm seeing that the kind of leadership that lasts is not loud, is generous. Just like the women who gave me their time and their wisdom for, the interviews, it multiplies impact by helping others step into their voice. They're giving them a seat at the table, help them see and own their power. So that's kind of leader that I also strive to be, and the kind I hope we all become. Because I think that when you lift even one voice, you start a ripple that can change everything.
oh, that's so beautiful. Warms my heart. It's so true. It's so true. Well, you're obviously doing it and you're successful at it. You've written your book. And so how can people find and get a hold of your book, Chief in Tech?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the ways to get the book is also you can order it on Amazon, but it's also available at Barnes and Noble stores in the
Cool.
US. And then also on my chiefintech.com website, my
Okay.
team and I, we kind of gathered all the sources where you can order. So it's available worldwide. So you can order it in physical, we can get it from a physical store or online. Of course, Amazon is huge, but it's not limited to that, because there are so many also providers that can send you the book, or you can walk in a store and also get it at Barnes and Noble. I also signed, I had, once I went to New York recently, and I went to Barnes and Noble stores and I was signing the book, and it was so exciting, especially the Fifth Avenue. It was like a dream come true.
Wow, that's so awesome. Well, congratulations. I'm so grateful. Thank you for your time, your expertise, sharing your knowledge, and more importantly, just like what you do for the community, what you do for the women in technology, and which also is a ripple effect to companies around the world. And so thank you so much, Anna, for your time. It was fun.
Thank you, Melinda. You're a great host. I really enjoyed
Ah,
our conversation.
love it. It was super fun. I'm glad we actually finally did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Likewise.
And thank you, listeners, for being here. I trust that you got your golden takeaway, and go ahead and implement it right away so that you can make a positive difference in the world. Until next time, I'm your sister in flow. Much love. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.